She went to 2 rehabs. The last one I put her in against her will. And she hated me for it. I said, no, this really is I got your letter today. And we're thinking about coming to see you tonight in the contest. Are you happy with what you're doing? Carol Burnett seemed to love everyone she worked with. But there was one co-star who crossed the line she couldn't forget. During the 7th season of her hit show, this person's behavior turned ugly. They humiliated guest stars in front of the whole cast. When Carol tried to stop it, things got physical. What happened next shocked everyone on set. This co-star had been with her for years, but their betrayal cut deep. The truth about who it was will surprise you. Carol Burnett was born on April 26, 1933 in a crumbling hospital in San Antonio. Her birth certificate didn't even list an address. Her parents were already deep into alcoholism. By the time she turned 4, both were drinking every day. Her mother's rage often turned violent. Carol would hide under beds to escape the shouting. Neighbors brought food because her parents wouldn't. Looking back, Carol called it survival, not childhood. She remembered a constant sense of loneliness. Statistically, kids in homes like that rarely escape, but Carol did. Her parents' marriage didn't last long. Her father walked out when she was just 2. By 6, the divorce was final. The court blamed drunkenness and neglect. Carol sat through some of the hearings. She later said it made her feel invisible. Her mother stayed bitter. Her father moved to Los Angeles and drank even more. Still, Carol somehow learned to observe everything. Years later, that helped her build characters that felt real on stage. After the divorce, Carol and her half-sister Chrissy were sent to live with their grandmother. They ended up in a tiny windowless room in a rundown Hollywood boarding house. Rent was $9 a week. Their bathtub was down the hall, shared with other tenants. Mice ran across the floor at night. They lived on her grandmother's Social Security checks, $30 a month. Carol made toys from broken furniture. She read books others threw away. She went to free radio tapings just to feel some joy. In 1941, Los Angeles County said 7% of children were considered neglected. Carol easily could have been one of them. At 8 years old, something strange happened. Carol invented a twin sister named Karen. Karen had curly blonde hair and perfect dimples. Carol would run out the front door, change outfits behind the building, and come back as Karen. She kept this going for almost 2 years. She even invited Karen to a birthday party once. One neighbor wrote to her grandmother, suggesting she needed help. But to Carol, it was her first try at improvisation. She didn't just make up stories. She acted them out. That was the beginning of something bigger. By 9, she was practicing her Tarzan yell on the rooftop. She copied the jungle call from old movies, yelling until neighbors came running. Sometimes police even showed up. She didn't stop. Over time, her voice got stronger. Her lungs stretched. When fans called out Tarzan during her show years later, she could do it on command without missing a beat. It had started as escape. It became her trademark. Survival didn't stop at yelling. Her grandmother had a habit when they went to the movies. After the film, she'd quietly take toilet paper from the theater bathroom and stuff it into her purse. They couldn't afford to buy their own. Carol never forgot those moments. Years later, she'd laugh about it, but at the time it wasn't funny. It was what kept them going. Movies were more than escape. For Carol, they were school. For a dime, she'd sit through double features. She studied the actors, the timing, the way scenes flowed. She paid attention to how the audience reacted. When she built her comedy later, it came from those dark theaters. She even parodied Gone with the Wind on her show, pulling straight from those early memories. Those movie houses taught her everything. Back in their little kitchen, music brought moments of peace. Her grandmother played piano. Her mother sometimes picked up a ukulele. They sang songs like You Are My Sunshine. On those nights it didn't matter how poor they were. Carol learned to harmonize at that kitchen table. It gave her the confidence to sing in front of others. That spark would grow into the musical sketches she became known for. One moment stuck with her forever. She told her mother she wanted to be an actress. Her mother looked at her and said, "You can always write no matter what you look like." Carol remembered the words exactly. God, that hurt. In that moment she realized her own mother didn't believe in her looks, but instead of breaking her, it drove her. She built a career that proved talent mattered more than beauty. She gave a voice to people who didn't fit the mold. By the early 1950s, her father was barely surviving. Alcohol had taken everything from him. Carol left for New York in 1954 to chase her dream. Not long after, her father died at 47. His liver had given up. Carol said he was never mean, just lost. As her life was just beginning, his was already over. In 1954, Carol Burnett was just a junior at UCLA, unsure of what the future held. She was preparing for her final theater exam when her professor canceled it without warning. Instead of a test, he asked her and a few classmates to perform skits at a party for other faculty members. It felt more like a joke than a gift. Carol had been worrying about her finances and wondering if she'd ever get a real shot at acting. But that unexpected night changed everything. She threw together a comedy sketch on the spot and performed it in front of an audience of professors. Their laughter wasn't polite. It was real. For the first time, she saw adults in positions of power respond to her humor. What she didn't know was that someone in the crowd had been watching her very closely. After the performance, Carol did something she would later laugh about with embarrassment. She began quietly slipping cookies into her purse. She wasn't being greedy, she was just hungry. Food was often a struggle, and she wanted to take something back to her grandmother. Just as she was stuffing the last few cookies, an older man in a